Hi, Pete Moore. Welcome to PCM Guns. Got another hunting story for you. It's about shooting in Bulgaria. One of the perks of my job as the editor of Shooting Sports is that once your face gets known around, people invite you places, and it's, I'm not knocking it, I'm not lying, it's great. Would you like to come and do this? Would you like to come and do that? Fine, yeah, as long as I could fit it in with my work schedule, I would do it. And I got chatting to somebody and they said, oh, we know somebody who's going to Bulgaria to some big sort of resort type place, and they're going to try the horse riding, the kayaking and all the other stuff, and they want somebody to cover the hunting. I said, I'll be your huckleberry for that. So I got in touch and they said yes, no problem at all, and I come out as part of the package, and I decided to take my Mauser MO3 and 30-06 with a Swarovski scope on top. And the idea was that I would get 2 or 3 what they call representative animals. Not the biggest, not the smallest, but a good example of the species to shoot. It was quite simple. We just going out hunting with a guide. Go out, that's yours, boom, that's yours, boom. And the idea was I would get a fallow, a red, and a boar. And this is the time before I'd been boar hunting, so I was getting very excited about that. I thought, well, it's a good chance to shoot a boar. And we got there, and I can't remember what the town was. It got this massive sort of ski-driven hotels up there, and a massive ski centre, and it's all for the winter season. And the other part of the town was actually quite primitive by comparison. It was almost like Western Europe, and you draw a line across the street, and it was Eastern Europe. I mean, there's guys on horses and carts and that sort of thing. Anyway, I had an interpreter, and we went to the shooting area on the first day, and it's this massive reserve. It's huge, and again, the interpreter told me back then, when the Russians controlled it all, that all hunting was banned. He said, remember, his father was, his grandfather used to do poach on those places because they wouldn't allow people to hunt. It was only for the sort of the high party ranking people and people like that, which is seems a bit unfair. But again, we're talking communist bloc. So we got there, drove up, and I was introduced to the chef, the head sort of ranger, and he had about 4 or 5 people with him. He was a pleasant enough guy. And I was introduced to the guy who would be guiding me, and so went out the first day, very, very excited. There's a lot of game there. I mean, we're talking seriously big fallow, some massive boars, and lots and lots and lots of red. I mean, I think I must have seen in the 3 days we were stalking there, like sort of 20 or 30 big stags with their own big harems. We're talking a huge amount of game. I don't know what happens to them in the winter, because I don't think there's much sensible culling off control. Anyway, so I thought this is going to be we'll get it all done in a day. And in the guide and my interpreter walked around, saw a nice fellow. I thought, this is me. He went, no, not this. So he walked a bit further, and was just literally tripping over these bloody things. And he never let me take a shot. And I thought, hang on a minute, there's so many deer here, and I've been told I can have 3 representative species, and yet we must have walked past God knows how many animals that weren't too big, weren't too small, but just right. And then we came upon some reds, and exactly the same thing happened. No. And we spent the whole day tramping around. It was like an armed nature walk, because I never got to pull the trigger or even aim at anything. And went back that night, and I thought, this is very strange. I don't know, perhaps they're saving something up for me. And went out the next day, exactly the same thing. And I thought, this is weird. It's all tonight we go and shoot boar. And I thought, well, okay, if we're going to shoot boar, I'm fine. And we went to this really strange high seat. It was more like a concrete bunker on stilts. It was huge. And he said, the boar will come down and you can shoot them. I went, oh, okay, that sounds good to me. And what they do, they put out in the maze and things and just to bait them in. It was about 150 yards, so it was more like shooting deer than driven, which I wasn't too bothered about. Anyway, so we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden the boar started coming in, and there was some, females, males, some good ones, some small ones, and I thought, oh, I wonder which one's going to be mine. And he pointed, he said, that's for you. And there was half a dozen piglets, you know, little baby ones, and they look totally unlike the big ones, because they're usually like light brown with dark brown stripes, like they're wearing pajamas. He said, "You shoot." I went, "What?" He said, "You shoot the babies." And I said, "No." I said, "I'm not here to shoot babies." And I didn't get upset with him, but I said, "Forget it." I said, "I'm not shooting those little babies. I just can't see the point of it. It doesn't prove anything." And so we went back in a bit of a huff, and I went to see the organiser. I said, "Look," I said, "I've been given the runaround here, and I've no idea why, because I've been told that the minister had approved it, had all been done." And then I said, "You've got two choices." I said, "If you want, I can write this up as it is and say, don't go here because you don't get to shoot anything, or you can speak to somebody and I can get what I was promised." And he said, "Well, leave it with me." So it's entirely up to you. I said, "If it's not that, I'm just not bothered anymore." And so the next day he said, "Oh no, it'll be all right. I've sorted it out." And so we went out, and same people there, and they were looking at me a little bit different, like, you know, not quite so happy with me, perhaps because I kicked off. And we went out of the base, and inside 10 minutes the guide had got me into this big mob of fallow deer. And I thought, so I went, "Shoot." I went, "Yeah, I'll shoot." And I picked the biggest one I could and dropped it. It was an easy shot, 150 yards. It was, you know, just a bread and butter shot, but it went down well. And I thought, wow, brilliant. And I thought, now we'll get the red and we'll get the wild boar. And we took the deer back and everything, and they processed it, and they said, "Oh, we'll get you the skull and the antlers sent across." And fine, even better, which they never did, which didn't surprise me. We're out the last day, and we came upon a couple of proper wild boar, and I was just about to go. He said, no, you don't shoot." And we had the whole rigmarole again. So I ended up, from 3 promised species, I got a good fallow. You know, perhaps I wouldn't have shot it, the biggest one, but I was just so peed off by that time, the way they treated me. So, and I talked to the guy. I said, "Look, I've got a fallow." I said, "I'm not happy." I said, "Because you promised me 2 more animals, and it doesn't really look good for you people, does it, if you're sort of trying to drum up, you know, shooting tourism or whatever." And he said, "The problem, Pete," he says, is that because of the communist influence in the country pre the fall of the USSR, he said that nobody was ever prepared to put their neck on the line and say, yes, you can shoot 3 of this or 2 of that, and it was all about people covering themselves." He said, "And that attitude has not changed." He says, "It's the same as it ever was before." And he apologised. "Well, look, it's done now, you know, I've shot one thing, I'll do a bit of feature on it, but it won't be as good as it could have been." And so I left, and I was just, weirdest thing, I had a sort of good time, but such time wasted, all because of a system that no longer existed, that is perpetuated by the people that suffered under it. And hope you enjoyed that. Tell your friends, support the channel, and it's, if you want to speak to me, it's pmoore.shootingsports@gmail.com, and it's PCM Guns. So I'll see you later with more stories.